Hello again, this is luckyDminor with another episode of 4-Player Chess Free for All. Um, Last game I barely succeeded to not get the fourth place in a game and not lost my ranking shortly above 2200. And I'm trying another hard game with strong players, the strongest one to my right. And everyone above 2200. So I'm the weakest player on the board, but it should be quite even also. So red is starting. And like in the last game, red and yellow opening with the king's pawn, blue and green with the queen's pawn. Red's queen comes immediately. Blue blocks his king's diagonal and opens the diagonal for his queen also. Yellow comes out with the queen. And I attack with my bishop, just like in the last game, if you have seen it. So my idea here is to take that pawn in the next move with check. And if blue would play the queen, and then in the next move could join the attack here, and we would have a double check and a mate on yellow. So trying to get for a quick win, but also, of course, very importantly, stopping any checks on this diagonal here. Okay, red blocks to the blue side. And blue is playing slow. He's not getting out his queen. He's blocking his queen with his knight. Okay. Yellow developing his bishop. Now having a double attack on that pawn. So if red, for example, could attack that pawn, this could be mate. I also played a little slow here. Should have possibly done something faster. Red is protecting his pawn structure, opening another bishop's line, preparing fianchetto. I have to watch out my undefended pawn here. And blue is cutting the diagonal for yellow. Yellow queen swings over, now attacks my pawn here. So if red would take here and yellow would take in the next step, this would be mate to me. I have to do something about it. I block this with my pawn. I even allow a possible queen's trade here. So either we trade these queens or the red queen has to move away. And she does. She has no problem being on the line with the yellow bishop because she knows we're playing a teams game here in FFA. Okay, blue attacking the pawn and then possibly the rook. And I bring out my bishop to protect my pawn, but also to attack that rook. Moves away. Fianchetto is blue. And yellow moves a pawn. This is not an attack on the red queen, it's just a pawn move, and possibly in the next move will attack my bishop here. So I attack the red queen myself and also bring my knight in a position where it cannot be attacked. Whenever this pawn moves a double step, this is a very nice place for the knight. Okay, red queen swings over again. I have to watch out. Possible check here, possible double check there. So again, threatening mate to me. And blue now lets his bishop and possibly also the queen to the open. And here's the attack on my bishop. Of course, if queen would have taken here, that would be wrong timing. Then the pawn could take and the mate will not happen. So he attacks my bishop. And I most likely move my bishop forward, protect my pawn here, stop possible mates here, and most importantly also attack the yellow queen, because now blue has a chance to hit yellow. Attacking my queen, I have to block that, but blue now, since the yellow queen is attacked, blue could now take here. Of course, then it would also be possible that red takes here, and then blue has to decide whether he wants to pull his bishop back or take this bishop. Oh, and I haven't seen. He cannot even take that because that pawn is protected. That is a tricky thing in free-for-all, four-player chess with high-ranking players, that you always have to check if an opponent is defending the opposite player. So he plays it more securely and now attacks again that pawn, threatens a check. Possibility also to attack the queen, but that field is not safe. And the queen protects that pawn, and now also together with the bishop attacks that pawn, and that is again a mate threat if red would support with a second check. So a lot of mate threats going on here with the red and yellow queen, and so far blue and green were able to defend. And I would say even develop our positions. So the defense was not a poor defense, but a valuable defense. Like now again, the red queen is under attack. And the bishop's line is blocked. And the pawn is developed. Okay, queen moves over. Could have possibly just moved over here to keep that threat. From this field, it's not possible to check. And since if yellow takes, if red would check, the queen could still take the yellow queen. Well, then possibly since there's the bishop in the next move, there would still be a mate with the red queen there. So strong move by red. Now blue is blocking with this bishop and also of course attacking yellow. Yellow's moving over. And now the game may start the other way around, possibly with a take here and a take there. Blue would have to defend. Well, no, blue could take here. So I think that's not a good idea. Okay, anyway, I move my bishop and support the attack on that pawn that is still defended by that queen, but now under double attack. And also if he moves the pawn, then of course the rook is hanging. Okay. Could have red done anything to help yellow here? Well, it could have sacrificed a piece, of course, but no cheap help. So he just developed his item, and blue checks, and of course now threatens to move the knight back, and then the yellow king is hanging, the yellow rook is hanging again. King moves over. I just wait. Would there be another or better opportunity here? No, I was after the game, I was thinking whether I would have been able to take the queen here, but the timing is wrong since blue is on the right side of yellow and yellow moves first. Okay. Red is trying to break open the blue defense structure. Blue makes the best move here, just pushes the pawn so that the red pawn is blocking. But of course, as we learned in the last game, yellow could take that pawn. Blue would not retake, and it would be a legitimate check on blue. But yellow develops his knight. I move on with my knight, possibly to trade that knight, because I do not like knights coming close to my hometown. Okay, attack from red. Okay, and here is a bishop trade with check. Could I have anticipated this? And instead of doing that move, yes. At this moment, I could have played here and threatened the queen. Then this bishop trade with check would lose the yellow queen. Okay, I missed that. So my knight move was too weak here. Red is attacking me. Well, blue is playing it anyway, because otherwise yellow would have possibly traded here, and then blue would have a double pawn and an open king. So he rather trades immediately. Knight takes. And I take this moment also to take from yellow. I figured that while blue is attacking, it's possibly better to also attack. So blue now has to retake, otherwise the knight can come here. And this means I mean, yellow has to retake. This means in the next move, yellow cannot move his queen. So it's slowing him down, and I support blue with this. Okay. Also, red is attacking blue now. Blue can take, but the blue pawn structure is pretty weak already. And yellow decides to do the attack that I mentioned earlier, to check blue. So therefore my knight still lives. Of course, red can also take here. So blue's structure is falling apart. Could I attack red somehow to stop him from taking another pawn here? Not really. So I make, in this case, not the knight's move, but a queen's move. Not sure about this. I wanted to be, of course, very aggressive and strong, develop my queen also, and be able to give possible checks from there, and possibly win that rook over there. Well, it would even be a mate, since the king cannot go here because of the bishop. So this was definitely the stronger move than with the knight, even though I'm still hanging my knight here. Okay, and red is not attacking blue, but taking the chance. I just left my pawn hanging. So this was a mistake on my side, even though my move was strong and possibly is still good. I'm being at risk here. Blue threatens the queen, and of course, since I threaten the mate, he has to protect his king first, and will lose his queen possibly. But he doesn't see, or doesn't want to see. He just takes that pawn. I believe that's a weak move. I mean, that pawn is worth nothing in the moment. He may simply not see the danger he is in and just willing to just take a pawn here. Okay, he takes a pawn and I win the mate. So that was a little luck on my side here, and also for blue, since he's now rid of the nasty attacker there. And since the red queen decided to attack me, blue is quite happy, I guess, in the moment, even though I earned the points here. And red is immediately following through with his attack, taking the pawns, threatening my bishop. And now it's pretty interesting to see what blue may be doing. Of course, there's no immediately any threat for me. But if he joins forces now with red, I'm in deep trouble. Oh, but he's not. He's even sacrificing a bishop for me. Thank you, blue. Well, yes, and that lets me win the red queen. So I bring my queen back, attack the red queen. Red has to take, blue has to move, I can take. So that's great. Within a few moves, I not only checkmated yellow, but also was able to get rid of the red queen and win more points. So at this point, I'm the point leader. I have to expect that red and blue are now starting to team on me. I got the queen, but of course I'm losing my bishop here. and having a nasty pawn next to my king, so my king is limited in movement. And blue immediately starts to push his pawn for queens. I want to fix my pawn structure and lose this. I was hanging this pawn. I should possibly have just moved it. Okay, I'm losing that pawn. Of course, now blue's pawn is also under attack, but I'm not sure if red will attack blue in this situation of the game. Since blue is moving towards queening, this may be even good for me, because now then red may attack blue and or try to stop him from queening. Let's see. I want to play it not too fast here. I just move it pawn forward, but it's not an immediate threat for queening. Okay, blue is not taking, red is not taking the blue pawn, nor is he stopping that pawn from promotion. Could he stop him? Well, a bishop move would do the trick here. No, not false calculation. There's the field. The rook's move does not do the trick because I have an eye on that field. So it's not easy for blue to stop, for red to stop blue. I should not expect that to happen. Blue decides to protect his pawn first. Smart idea. I always say, well, if you can securely get a queen, then push fast. But if not, then don't arouse the attacks or the blocks from the other players too early, and rather stay safe in your position. Okay, so I'm now blocking that field twice and even threaten to take with my queen. So from my point of view, at this point, the teaming with blue is over. And red moves back. He wants to stay out of the way and hopes that we possibly fight it out first. Blue protects his pawn and maybe tries to move him forward later. And I bring in more material. I now also threaten a fork on the pawn and the queen. Red also moves over to that side. Well, possibly not to attack blue, but to stop any threats here for the king. Okay, blue connects his rooks, but also brings his king in a place where I may check it. So that's always kind of risky if you put your king to possible checks. But at this point, I rather slowly develop my items first. Oh, here. Oh no, the pawn was not hanging, was protected. Okay, development happening. Blue is doubling up, still having his king in an unsafe space. But red has no direct way to attack the queen, otherwise I would possibly check here. But now I just move my pawn. I'm planning, of course, to move here and possibly queen there or there at some point. Okay. Red is kind of protecting his king further, but also opening the bishop's diagonal. Well, could possibly attack the rook some point here. Could possibly stop pawns from moving there. Could possibly even stop my pawn here. Okay, and that's good for me. Blue and red are starting to fight. So I can just move my pawn. And red takes, blue takes. Even threatening to take the red rook. Or to exchange material. So I just move on. Red takes. I'm not sure about blue and red playing here, so I'm definitely the point leader. I'm moving forward to get another queen. I have a strong position, and they are exchanging material. I think that's a mistake on, well, blue started it. Maybe blue is still thinking that we have been partners and I would help him to become second or something. But also red is taking the exchanges instead of moving aside. Well, if he stepped aside, then blue would have a check here and win the other rook. Well, no, wouldn't win the rook because red would block. But yeah, maybe red was afraid about this check. Okay, he takes, blue takes, and I just queen. And I also threaten, of course, blue's items here. But I'm pretty sure blue will not exchange his 9-point queen for my 1-point queen here. Okay, and red is coming out with the rook. What is he doing there? I mean, I could take it, but I would lose against blue then. So I won't do that. Blue cannot take. So he's threatening the blue queen, but he's also threatening to check me. And also attack my queen. But I can just defend. But if now blue would take my queen, well, since he did not check me yet, I could still take the queen. Okay. So it looks more like an attack on blue than an attack on me. And what is blue doing here? Okay. He basically hangs his queen to the rook. Of course, it's defended. And red would possibly not want to exchange his last rook. Maybe red hopes that he would really attack me and that the whole battery would join forces here. And blue would definitely not want to let me take him. So I just protect my bishop that was attacked by the rook, by the queen, and also I'm blocking the pawn from moving. And red is taking the queen. Blue's most possibly retaking, so I'm very happy and lucky in this game that blue and red did not find a way to team up against me, but killed each other. So now I'm definitely the strongest player on the board and may even win against both of them, even if they started team now. But I still have to watch out because two players playing together are still very dangerous, even though I may have two queens and they don't. But I have an immediate check on blue here. At this point, blue was questioning me in the chat. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Oh yeah, he was writing like green question mark. So blue seemed to still under the belief that we were kind of teaming. But of course, definitely in this moment, I can check him, I can attack him severely. And with this pawn, he's still kind of dangerous to me. So I rather take him out fast. So he has to move. I can check again, and in the next move, take the rook. I take the rook. He comes back. I can check again and then take the pawn. And red is doing nothing. Red is playing for second here. So I open my double queen. Check again. Come behind. And here blue resigns. Okay. And of course it's just a question of time. So in this case, usually I would directly attack the last remaining player, but he doesn't seem to have any big mating opportunities here on blue, so I figured I can just mate that king and win the game without even having to attack red here. But of course, you see how difficult it is. Maybe I have missed a mate already, I don't know. But there's always a danger that red still steals the mate. But even if he does, since I have 40 points, he has only 31. If he steals the mate, he would be 51. I will still win against him. So, and yes, he does. He steals the mate. But then he resigns. Okay, I was very happy at this level of play to win a game. So now I'm already, since a few games, above 2,200, even approaching 2,250. And coming closer to the top 100 players here. So I'm very happy that this time I'm not losing as soon as I stick my head above 2,200 points. So there's some development that I notice, and of course it always also needs a little luck and a little patience sometimes. and there will be also heavy losses again, but for now I'm happy. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.